Hi there, my name's Rebecca Williamson. I'm the publisher of Fierce Pharma, and I'm here today with Ian McKinnon, Managing Director and Global Head of Consulting at Within3, and Jason Smith, CTO of AI and Analytics, also at Within3. Thank you for joining me today, gentlemen.
Thanks for having us.
To start us off, tell me, in an increasingly crowded scientific landscape, what does it take for medical affairs teams to truly stand out and deliver meaningful impact?
Given that it is very crowded in terms of the number of advancements, that medical affairs team kind of knowing what's happening within the disease community and knowing where the scientific narrative is going to versus just understanding the status. So understanding where things are evolving to and being there when it gets there and kind of being proactive about that and not being, for example, rigid about the evidence that they're collecting, but collecting evidence to meet that future need. I think that's one of the most important things that they can do. Like the adage that people often use around like Wayne Gretzky is he was such a good hockey player. It wasn't because he was better than everybody else, but he knew where the puck would be versus going to where the puck was. So for medical affairs teams kind of being proactive in that way, I think would be a huge advantage for them.
Yeah, I think building on that, that shift from just being information gatherers to insight generators and those outcomes that come off those insights and the evidence there, that's really the big shift that we see.
So tell me, in what ways do you believe medical affairs teams can have the greatest impact on their core function of being the scientific bridge between their community and the external medical and scientific community?
I think the word bridge is a good word there because it's bi-directional, right? It's not just gathering the data and just holding it. It's using that data to shape R&D strategy and outcomes internally, and then also listening to those internal evidence and internal data and using that to direct what's outbound and how you're engaging with the community and outbound. So really creating that in a bi-directional manner.
Actively monitoring what the disease community is, how they're interpreting what you're saying, so that you're aware if the information you're putting out there is not landing well or there's confusion, and that you're actively kind of monitoring and engaging and adapting if you need to versus saying, hey, this was the strategy, we've done what we had to, and now we're kind of walking away and moving on to the next thing.
So tell me, where is tight coordination between medical affairs and commercial most critical, and what breaks down when that coordination isn't there?
Medical affairs might say everywhere, same with commercial, because any kind of coordination, and the earlier it is, the better. But I would say where things fall off the rails the most is if they're not coordinated around launch. That's the most kind of tenuous position that the asset is in. And if those two teams are not working, if there isn't a good scientific foundation that the commercial team will leverage at that point, and that's when commercial teams are now actively talking to the disease community as well. And if there's not good kind of collaboration and cohesion there, it creates a lot of confusion, messages blurred, and your competitors are going to eat your lunch. So I would say launch is where they really have to be bonded.
So tell me, where should medical leaders be investing now to stay ahead of the curve?
From our lens, I think a lot of it is in the future of agentic, where they can be out gathering evidence around them that's out publicly available and distilling that. And I think it's really the distillation into like a canonical scientific knowledge graph, something that everyone can use as a source of truth inside that organization. Those are the organizations we see starting that process are the ones we think are going to win, because building what Ian was saying before, around that launch readiness, the communication, being that source of truth really sets you up, and sharing the information internally sets everyone up to looking at the scientific information the same objective lens. There's no ambiguities, no interpretation. It's the same lens and the same piece you're looking at.
Yeah, and we hear this from clients all the time. There's so much data coming at them. Someone did a study, and I don't know whether the number is accurate or not, but they said something like data within healthcare, life sciences is doubling every 73 days. So even if that's not true, it's probably directionally correct.
Yeah.
And if people in life sciences don't have the tools to be able to face that onslaught of information, they're just never going to survive.
So following on, can you describe a use case where those investments would make a meaningful difference to the imperatives of medical affairs teams?
I would say one broader one is being able to generate insights that informs the strategy of the brand, strategy of the asset. If you're not able to ingest that information and curate that information and extract from it, because you're going to really have to be able to pull the information and the learnings from it. That gives you the direction to make decisions, to move your brand forward. You're not going to be able to compete in the marketplace. So I'd say that's kind of the bigger, broader one that has to be achieved.
Building on that, I would think the other area we see is HCP strategy and engagement, whether it's through ad boards or pre-Congress, at Congress, post-Congress, all these opportunities to actually be unified around which HCPs, how you're engaging them. You're not duplicating those efforts. You're not duplicating those really critical engagements at the right time. That's another area that we continue to see as a real opportunity.
That feels like a perfect place to close out. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.